So yes, a lot of people think that long distance marriage is just about missing each other. And trust me, meeting each other is a big deal. It is something. But that's not all. There is a lot more that you are not prepared for. You gradually begin to realize that you stop knowing each other. Like, after so many years of doing this, the spouse you knew when this journey started, some things begin to change because experiences change people. There's a lot more that people do not really speak about. But I'm here to speak about it. I'm here to have this conversation with you. Hello and welcome to Sacred Seasons with Fumi. If today is your first time on this channel, you're welcome. Thank you for stopping by. I know, I can assure you that you will like it here. If you're a returning subscriber, hey, long time no see. It's good to have you back. So we're continuing on our series on LDM. Don't forget I christened it some episodes ago, long distance marriage, in case you do not know what we're talking about. And we've spoken about a lot of things on this series. Today we'll be going in another direction, which is just to speak about the hidden cost of long distance marriage. Yes, every single day you spend apart as a married couple, you are paying something. You're paying a cost emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, and in every other aspect as a family. So we're going to be looking at some of those things. I know that I might have mentioned some in previous episodes, maybe while speaking about something else. If I get to those ones, I would not spend time on it. I'll just move on. So yes, a lot of people think that long distance marriage is just about missing each other. And trust me, meeting each other is a big deal. It is something. But that's not all. There's a lot more that you are not prepared for. There's a lot more that people do not really speak about. Maybe because people feel like sometimes it's that feeling of helplessness, like, well, it is what it is. We'll have to just deal with it. So what's the point speaking about it? But I'm here to speak about it. I'm here to have this conversation with you. And I know that from all other videos that have been made, I've spoken and overflogged the issue of emotional loneliness and emotional strain when it comes to long distance marriage. And I've spoken about how you move from speaking about issues that concern both of you, your feelings, your fears, your emotions, and everything, where you just want to talk about, logistics, function, how's the house moving, how are the kids, how is this and how is that. That's one of the ways where you emotionally move away. Another way is where you just become indifferent. Indifference is one way of emotional strain in marriage, in long distance marriage, because indifference comes where it looks like you have tried certain things and they haven't worked, and you've gotten to the point where it's like, you know what, whether it works or not, I'm good, I'm here. And indifference is one thing that I know that has been constant with all the people I've spoken with, and also that is something that I also had an issue with at some point, especially when it came to the area of when you have misunderstandings. Instead of sitting down to actually sort out issues, you just bury them. You become indifferent about those kind of things. Sometimes when your partner is your partner is trying to even explain certain things emotionally, what you do is either change the topic, or you're not just interested anymore. You don't feel like there is a stake anymore. You don't feel like you have a stake anymore. You guys are just in coasting mode. Let's just move along. That can happen very easily in long distance marriage, where you just have that detachment. And sometimes you can even have those, it's not as if the detachment disappears. It's that sometimes it is transferred, which we will talk on later in this video. Another hidden danger that people do not often talk about is the fact that you people will live parallel lives. The fact that you have different lives, different experiences of life, different routines. My God, this one is a killer, because it's very painful, especially for me, because I remember, then with my husband, it used to be, because he had to survive where he was. I have to survive where I am. And then for that reason, we have different experiences of our lives, maybe our routine. Let's say I wake up, I take the kids to school, I do certain things, I do certain things. He has to develop a different kind of routine. And the only thing that kind of connects us in the day is when we finally come together to communicate. So it's a very difficult one where you are not part of certain areas of your spouse's life. You are not completely part of their life. The only way you can be involved in that life is through whatever you are told. So you can only experience their life through their account of that aspect of their life. If you get what I mean. I don't know if I'm making sense. In the sense that you are not experiencing it firsthand. It even comes as low as where you guys have different friendships, different relationships. So you have certain relationships that you have also used to fill up the void of the fact that your spouse is not there. Your spouse also has different relationships that he has used to fill up the fact that you're not there. And then he has this experience of these relationships that you do not truly know about. You don't truly know them. The only way you only see them through the lens of what you have been told. And it might not even be just relationship, it can be anything. And what you find with this living parallel lives is that you gradually begin to realize that you stop knowing each other. Like, after so many years of doing this, the spouse you knew when this journey started, some things begin to change because experiences change people. Like, our experiences changes us. So if we're having different experiences, you can imagine how much change we'll have. And so the times that we will then come together, there is friction because we're no longer the same people. So this aspect of living parallel life is so crucial. I used to remember then I used to feel offended, and one of the things that offended me was this kind of thing. And I'll tell you, it sounds very flimsy, but it used to get to me a lot. Like, my husband is talking about, oh, I need to get a new pot, I need to get a new blender, and it just gives me that feeling like you have your life. Of course he needs a pot, of course he needs a blender, he needs to eat, right? But somehow it was just getting to me that he had pots that were not our pots in the house. It wasn't our pots, it wasn't our blender, it wasn't, oh, I need to get a new bed sheet for us. It was for me. He had a different life that I wasn't part of. Now please tell me that I am not going cuckoo. If you are somebody and this is an issue for you, please tell me in the comment section, because I need to know that I'm in good company. But it used to be very painful because I love when we are married. I mean, when we are doing things, it should be we. It shouldn't be I, or I need to. But anyway, not to overflog this point. I'm sure I have I have explained it enough on how you live very different lives and how you have very different realities. Another hidden cost is solo parenting, where you have to take the responsibility, or one parent has to take the responsibility of parenting when the other person is not there. And imagine if your spouse is somebody that you've not seen in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, even sometimes. There is an overload of responsibility on the spouse that is carrying it as far as the children is concerned. And with solo parenting is the fact that you have to, at certain times, make certain decisions. There are times that, and I've spoken to women that talk about how, they try to involve their partner, or even men, how they try to involve their partner in parenting, but they would all tell you that it's not the same thing. Something is happening in school, they need to a parent needs to be there, and all of those kind of things. And no matter your schedule, whatever is happening, you have to leave it because you're the only available parent to be there at that time. Meanwhile, if you were both in the same geographical location, you can look at your schedules. Or is it more convenient for this person to do it, or this person? That shared load, you share the stress, it's way easier. But when you're the only parent, every single thing lies on you. What that also means is that as that parent, when you are unavailable, let's say you're sick or you're not feeling fine, it's not an option, it's not a luxury that you can enjoy. Whether you are sick, whatever is happening, you have to rise up to the occasion. And especially if you live in the West, where you don't have any kind of help, it can be very bad for that parent that is a solo parent. I know that the parts where the times when I used to feel the weight of this most, especially when I lived in Nigeria, was when any of the kids were sick. Oh my God. And it's painful because my husband is on the other side. He knows that something is going wrong, but it's so difficult because he's helpless. He can do absolutely nothing about it. And he has to try to encourage me and be strong for me and all of that from that distance. And unfortunately, because I am also under pressure, there is a tendency that I will not even appreciate his effort, because it's like, what are you telling me? I'm the one facing the child. The temperature is hot. I have to take the child to the hospital in the middle of the night, and all those kind of things that have to happen, especially when you don't have support. It can be terrible. So solo parenting is a lot. It's so much. It's something that we cannot even finish if we are talking, if you have to go deeply into it. And you'll think that, oh, it's just because you're the other side of solo parenting is the fact that you, the parent that is on ground, develop a stronger bond with the children. And we'll talk a lot more about that when we're talking about long distance marriage and parenting. We'll go into that as a whole. So you develop a stronger bond. The risk with that is that the other spouse that is far off will suffer, because that spouse might not necessarily have a strong bond with the children, especially if you're not very, very intentional about it. But like I said, not to overflog, we'll talk about it in another video. Another thing that we need to look at is distraction and drifting, aka temptation. See, this one, we know that part of marriage is physical connection, or sexual connection between a man and a wife. And at the end of the day, you all need this connection in marriage because it's very, very important. Now, you don't see that person. You are not connecting emotionally. You're not connecting physically. Before you know, you begin to drift apart. And drifting is drifting because it doesn't happen suddenly. Drifting is dangerous because you don't see it coming. Drifting is dangerous because it happens gradually. You might not even notice it happening. You will realize that it had happened long after it had happened. You guys are drifting apart. Earlier, I talked about where you develop certain relationships because there is emotional tension that you're carrying. And sometimes what you end up doing is that you place that responsibility on other people or other things. Things like social media. You have couples struggling sometimes with things like pornography and all these other vices because they are emotionally and physically apart. That is a danger you should think about. Yes, you should also, when you're talking about distraction, certain relationships become unhealthy. That colleague at work, that beautiful lady or that handsome man that your spouse sees every day, yes, that person is a threat sometimes, especially if with drifting, your spouse is not really conscious of the fact that they are becoming emotionally attached to this person. So gradually, the attention and the things and the conversations that you're supposed to have, it starts innocently, and before you know, it begins to become weird and all those other kind of things. And sometimes it's not even because there is, let's say, anything happens physically, but it starts with them just having that comfort in that person that they can physically see. And then you start having emotional cheating and all the works of it and all of that. So it's something that you have to really work hard at because it is a reality. It is a reality. A lot of times with women, I don't know. I know this is not all women and this might be subjective, but someone like me, I love conversations. I love to have conversations with people. So imagine my husband not around and then I happen to have this person that is not only physically around, but is ready to talk. That's a ticking time bomb. Or my husband as well has someone that he sees at work. He sees her every day. She dresses nice. She's cerebral in the sense that they have something in common, which is their job and stuff like that. And I'm not there to put that balance before and it's not because sometimes it doesn't even happen because the person intentionally decides that, oh, you know what, I want to do this. No, a lot of times they don't even know when they have crossed the line. Sometimes, and I'm talking about good men. I'm talking about godly men. I'm not just talking about anybody because I know people might come with, oh, it depends. Yes, but if you're a godly couple and you're building something together, it is something that you should look out for because it is very, very possible that you fall into this net. And this will not be one of the costs that you would want to pay, to be honest, because it's not worth it. It can determine the rest of your marriage. The last cost that I'm going to talk about is the financial cost of living long distance. A lot of times people go long distance marriage because for economic reasons, because of greener pastures. But there are times that you need to sit down and ask yourself, the money we are spending. Now, let me break it down for you. you're going to rent a house or buy a house where you're staying or where your family is. Your spouse is going to have a house, rent a house or buy a house where he or she is. That is expenses. You guys are going to see each other, and I will advise for those that are in long distance marriage, try to see each other often. There is the cost of transportation. If you're going to have to use flight or whatever it is you're using, you're going to spend good money. So sit down and put this cost side by side the money you are making, and ask yourself if the difference might not be something much, considering that you're paying 2 house rent, you're paying 2 bills, you're paying transport to see each other, you're paying for a lot of things. You have double of everything. I talked about pots and blenders earlier. You have pots, you have blenders, you have household items, you have 2 of everything. That's quite expensive to navigate. So when it comes to things like that, you need to really sit down and check what the financial implication of this long distance marriage is going to be for your marriage. And there are other costs that are not necessarily in cash, like you can't see it in cash, but they are still there. Taking time off work. There are times that the time you need to take off work would be unpaid. That is a cost that you should be looking at. The cost of the time of planning when to see, when you're going to see, and all those kind of things, they come in. And there are other financial costs that are associated with living in a long distance marriage that you might not even that I might not even be saying. If anyone comes to mind, please just mention it down in the comment section. So if you look at this, and if there are any other costs that are not financial that I have not mentioned in this list, please list it down in the comment section. And it's not just for me. A lot of people that are watching will also want to read to see what those things are. There are people that are watching this video and they really need to know. So if you know that thing that people don't usually speak about, and that is a cost, that is a hidden cost of long distance marriage, the one that will not easily be seen, please be nice enough to share with us in the comment section. So yes, we're going to continue with this conversation. I hope that you have gained something today. I hope that you've learned something today. And please subscribe. Let me forget, subscribe, like, share, and turn on the notification. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.